Mother would come to her senses and allow me to be a part of society, would give me at least a chance to leave the cold, empty rooms of the manor behind and experience all the wonders of Le Château. My heart ticked into a gallop. I longed for the palace more than anything, for a world far bigger than the only one I'd known. A world where I could afford to concern myself not with my safety, but with happiness. Dances and card games and races through gardens that flourished. Where nature was not the home of shadows, but simply a place for beauty. I was so certain that my heart would be healed and finally, abundantly happy the day I entered those golden gates. And perhaps I would find not just joy, but love, too. A girl who loved me. Loyal, kind and patient. Tender-hearted, but brave enough to follow me on even my wildest adventures. Well, I wasn't going to have my fairy tale on this side of the wall. I tied the top of my pillowcase shut to hold all my belongings in, and then, with all my might, tossed it over onto the grass beyond. I heard a gasp and the singing of metal, a sword drawn from its scabbard. Then softly, what on earth? My heart swelled. I'd been right. She was there. "Lope!" I whisper-shouted. "Lope! Wait right there!" With sweaty palms and a thrumming pulse, I grasped onto the thick vines and sturdy brick in front of me and climbed until I could heave myself up onto the wall, sitting astride it like I was on horseback. Below was Lope, shielding her eyes from the dying light. Her mouth hung agape. "My lady," she croaked. "What are you doing?" "Going on an adventure," I whispered back. I glanced over my shoulder toward the manor, but thankfully there was no sign of Mother or any guards. When I looked at Lope again, the distance from her was dizzying. I squeezed my eyes shut and swallowed the knot in my throat. I seem to have forgotten about climbing down. Lope unbuckled the scabbard from around her hips and tossed it onto my pillow bag, lying in the grass. She approached the wall, holding out her hands for me like I was some cat stuck up in a tree. "Slide your legs over," she coaxed. "I'll catch you." I pried one eye open. She and the earth seemed miles and miles below. I wobbled in place and took in a sharp breath, screwing my eyes shut. "Do you promise?" I peeped. She laughed, soft and shy. "I'll catch you. May the gods strike me down if I'm lying." In spite of everything, I smiled. Mother said I was too much of a dreamer, that I had an insatiable desire to be in a fairy tale. But with Lope, that never seemed to matter. I was the only person in the world who could make her smile. Practical, focused Lope, who had a near-permanent furrow in her brow and a hand on her sword, but who always listened with relish to my made-up stories of all things marvelous. What harm did it do, seeing the beauty in the world, wanting to have a life happier, more beautiful, safer than the dull one we lived within this crumbling manor? Seeing Lope now just reaffirmed that I was making the right decision. For all of us. I slipped over the wall, and just as she'd promised, Lope's arms anchored around me. I was in the warmth of her hold for just a moment before she delicately stood me upright. I dug my boots into the dirt, grateful to be earthbound once more. I gazed up at my dearest friend, taking in the face that was as familiar to me as the ground beneath my feet. Pale, marked with faint white scars. Her long, elegant nose. The notch in her brow when she frowned. The eyes that could be as bright as silver were dark as storm clouds today, and rimmed with red. "You shouldn't cry on your birthday," I said softly. She turned from me and scrubbed the heel of her hand against her eyes. "You're right. Forgive me. And happy birthday to you too." I always found it the most charming, magical thing that the two of us were born on the very same day, under the very same star. It was as if we were fated to be friends. But despite the happy occasion,